Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to yet another episode of Football Trio. And Ajab is here today with me as usual. Nico is here with me as usual. The Liverpool Manchester City game, I'm sorry, just ended. Today we're talking about the EPL. Hope you guys are excited. How are you doing today, Ajab?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I just watched one very exciting game, man. So I'm tensed. No, I'm energized. I'm happy.
Okay. Did you guys really enjoy the game,
Yeah, yeah,
Nico?
yeah. I did.
Yeah, it was a fun game. Very fun game. Very fun game. Of course, it's a very good result for us, So
Okay.
North London.
Okay, that's good. Well, we welcome our viewers today. Please subscribe, like, comment. We are actually on YouTube. We are on Facebook. Football Trio. That's the name. We're here today to talk about the EPL and hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. Let's start with potential teams that are going to finish top six. What did you guys think about the Manchester United Everton game yesterday?
Um,
Ajak, you can go with that.
United. Sorry. Yeah.
Did you watch the
United.
Manchester United Everton game?
Not really. It was a deserved victory. Everton dominated the first segment of the game, and they looked like they were going to do something. And after the penalty, the guy kind of dropped the momentum, and then they came back again. And then after the second penalty, everything was done for them. They played well, but for an Everton team coached by Sean Dyke, that's not what we expected from them to play, like trying to actually dominate. They just try. Normally, Sean Dyke is the guy who plays his long balls, and then the tall strikers try to do deflection, and the wingers come in and they do the finishing. But this time around, they tried to play some good football. I don't know if they were trying. I don't know if it's something he's trying new, but um, I think United deserved the victory. Not much. Onana again showed up, and I had read something about Onana saying that he's starting to get better, and that they're only going to see the best from him moving forward. That he's starting to get comfortable with the whole football climate in England and all that, and that we're only going to see the best from him moving forward. So he's going to also try to he's going to do his possible best to ensure that United finishes top four, which is a very tough claim at the moment based on where they are and based on the way food and fit place are at the moment. So let's wait and see what happens next.
So, what about you, Nico? What do you think about that game? Did you watch the game?
Um, Personally, I don't think United deserve the win. The scoreline may be a little, uh, uh, how do you say, deceptive,
Yeah.
because the goals came from two penalties, right? Errors that were made by Everton defenders. There's no reason why you jump in a tackle on in the box when you will not get the ball. There's no reason. Just let the player turn and take his shot and badly that with a keeper. Everton had, better, more shots on goal, more shots during the game,
Okay.
than Man U. I mean, if you look at the percentage of the passes completed, all that stuff, Everton kind of came out ahead. Possession, Man U had 51% possession, over 49% possession over Everton. So if we're looking at the scoreline alone, we can say, Man U, we can think Man U dominated the game, but that was not the case.
Yeah.
As usual, Man U has this storyline with them that it just makes it hard for you to kind of trust them. Now, their next game is against Liverpool, I think. So should make for an interesting conversation, I think, right? Is the Man U's next game is against Liverpool?
We'll have to
Um,
look. Yeah, I have to look that up.
yeah, I'll have to
I'm not
check.
sure.
I think so. But
But
if you look at field tilt, which I'm looking at, it's all blue, mostly blue, especially for
Man
the
U,
latter part of the
sorry,
second half. So
Man U,
momentum was in Everton's side. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Man U plays Sheffield United at Old Trafford.
Yes. And
Yeah,
okay,
Sheffield.
okay.
Yeah, Sheffield. Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good.
so I actually watched the game, and this was my opinion. Manchester United did not play well. Casemiro, bad passes everywhere, all over the field, and the only positive player that was in that game, I mean, for Manchester United, I think was Garnacho, and he's the one who caused both of the
The both
penalties.
penalties,
Yeah,
exactly.
Manchester United's game was very, very scrappy. And this is the problem with Manchester United. They want to play from the back, and they don't have the players to play from the back.
the tools. Yeah,
Luckily for them, Everton was not clinical in the final third. They missed a lot of opportunities. Their passes were not actually good in the final third. Then they were horrible defensively because
Yeah.
giving away, there could have been a third penalty on Rashford, but he was when the action started, there was an offside. An offside was called,
the
but
second,
they
the
gave
second,
away.
the
They
second
gave away.
penalty was horrible, truly, and the second
Yeah,
penalty was horrible from Godfrey.
yeah. They gave away back-to-back penalties, which was actually not good enough. And you cannot go to play at Old Trafford, then you come out that way. So let's move over to another game. Contention also for that top four spot. Aston Villa
Yeah.
versus Spurs. What do you guys think about that game? I'll start with you, Nico.
Yeah. Una Emery got taken apart today. He came with a game plan that didn't work at all, and I was kind of happy. But unfortunately, Tottenham is the one that won. So if for me, it really didn't matter. Spurs is shit anyways. So as an Arsenal fan, I don't care too much for Spurs. But the truth is, they did what they had to do. Going to play Aston Villa away is not easy. You saw how even Arsenal struggled, playing against Aston Villa, in at what is it, Villa Park. So, guys, for Tottenham to get 4 goals past them, forget that there was a red card in like the 60th, 70th minute of the game,
Yeah,
but you can tell Tottenham came there with a plan and they executed it very well. Unai Emery literally got exposed. This whole thing with Tilleman. I've never been convinced about him in the middle there. Five. What was it? 5-3-2. He set up and the
yeah,
5-3-2,
five
and
three. Yeah,
Leon Bailey. Big games that you expect Leon Bailey to come out swinging. He doesn't. I don't know what it is with him. He's sort of that what is it? Not Bernardo Silva. Fernandez, Bruno Fernandez. Games when you expect him to actually shine, he doesn't, and that's the one thing that I would call out here, because I expected so much more from him, especially that there was a front two, versus someone like Udogi or Van de Veen, who is just coming back from not vacation, sorry, from injury too. You would expect that to happen, but we can all attest to the fact that this Tottenham side is completely different when James Madison is playing, right? When James Madison is in the field, Young Min Son has so much liberty. Because James Madison takes on the task of creating. And I actually watched that game to about the third goal when Spurs scored the third goal. I stopped watching at that point, but I think it was like already at the end. The game was already done at that point. So I actually enjoyed James Madison. I think he scored the first goal, and he actually controls the game, and I don't know if he should be at Spurs, but hey, he's a good player, and he dictated the play today and allowed Song to get the freedom and Brendan Johnson to get the freedom that they needed, and it gave them that opportunity, and they took their chances really well. They dominated the game all and all throughout, and nothing really saying about it. Just that Unai Emery didn't come with a right game plan, And 10, 15 minutes into it, he should have known better, and he didn't change up, and he got exposed. Yeah.
Well, let me actually say this before you go, Ajab, because I don't actually think Unai Emery was the problem. There were two events that actually changed this game, in my opinion. Yes,
Hmm.
that first goal, of course, you guys go one down, good counter attack, and excellent ball in by Sarr, and Madison scores that goal, right? Brilliant
Hmm.
goal. But before that, you see, Aston Villa had missed so many
Many
opportunities,
chances.
but
Mhm.
the mistake giveaway for that second goal, for me, that was what changed this game. Then after that, the McGinn red card, because that was reckless. What were they thinking? So for me, it's more than the players just letting their manager down. I mean, what do you
Yeah.
think about that, Ajab?
No, but before Ajab goes, can I say the red card came in like the 70th minute, right? They were
Yes,
already 2 goals down.
there were two goals down.
Yeah,
So
Yes,
but that's what I'm saying. Two
yeah,
events changed the game: the giveaway for the second goal, and then the
and
red
then
card.
red card. Yeah, that's
Yes,
right. That's right.
yeah. So Ajab, what do you actually think about this?
what I think about I'm one of those guys who I don't I like to pay attention more now to the guys who play well or the guys who win versus the losers, because in most cases when we analyze football, we normally want to pay attention to the team that lose, that they didn't play well, instead of giving more praises to the team that actually played well and won the game. So first, Nico mentioned something about Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey did not have a good game today against Tottenham, but I don't think he's been that bad in the big games, because I watched him against Arsenal, he was really good. I watched him against City, he was really good. Some of those games, sometimes it happens when you're not able to pull the strings like you normally do. And then secondly, and post Tottenham has been playing some very exciting football. That some of the score lines, I don't doubt it. They don't lose. They don't get that. They play well. They don't get that scoring chances like they normally do. But when they get it, if they get six, they make sure they score three or four of them. If they get four, they make sure they score two of them. Yeah, so that's how I've been looking at it. The game today, I know True Lion made a very important point. That second goal kind of dropped down the momentum of the game in terms of Villa. I will not put the blame of. I will not. How can I say it? I won't say that Unai Emery was exposed, but I also think that he would have at some point in that game he would have switched back to his regular system, which he did a little bit late. I thought maybe after the second goal or something, just switch back to your 4-3-3 or your 4-2, and put a second person, or
Yeah.
play with play with your wings. Even before that red card, play with your wings, because his wingers have been good. Play with your wings and then see if you can come out with something. So it's the players let him down, and then he did not adapt to the momentum of the game. Is that he wanted to use the same system all through the game. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
because
think
okay, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead,
yeah,
please.
I was gonna say, I think the fact that they went out at halftime 0-0 also gave him a little bit more boost to continue with that game plan, because even though it wasn't working, because if you look at the momentum of the game, as the game was progressing in the first half, you could tell that Tottenham, there was a lot of a lot of good chances, right? And if some of these guys like what was it, Digne, who hit the crossbar, was it
Dini.
Digne? Yeah, he hit the crossbar right just before the halftime, and then you're thinking to yourself like, wow, this is an exciting game. There's going to be goals eventually, but I think that could have kind of made him think, okay, well, this plan is working. But to be honest, I thought throughout that first half that the fact that there were players who just could not get in the game, like Bailey, that I pointed out, it should have been an indication enough for him to say, you know what, let me change something up, and and see if anything else comes out of it in the second half. But that didn't happen. So
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the stats of the first half, right, two shots on target for Aston Villa, and they had three block shots. So, I mean, that alone, with the opportunities that they created, for me, Aston Villa was actually having more chances. But
mhm.
as I pointed out, the first goal, yes, that could happen. Turnover, quick action, Saar, he's quick on his feet and he crosses. Madison scores. Still, you guys have a chance. You are playing at home. However, an unforced error just 3 minutes after you concede the goal. That for me is lack of concentration. That for me is lack of awareness by the players, and that's why I cannot blame a guy like
The
like the
coach,
coach.
Unai.
Exactly. Well, let's go further and talk a little bit one or two teams, relegation teams. I saw Burnley leading West Ham 2-0. However, we know how
The
Burnley
game
has
started.
been crazy, especially defensively. And the when West Ham scored, the West Ham scored their first goal was a poor giveaway by Burnley. I mean, what do you guys think about that game? Because that was a game Burnley could have easily won.
I just think Burnley they're already convinced that they're gonna be relegated. That's how I look at it. Because yeah, we wanna be entertained, but when you don't have the tools to play that kind of football, look for the plan B. Try something else. But they've been sticking to their game plan, starting from the back, playing the nice football. And you can see that company has good plans for the team. Maybe like you said, you made a comment, was it last week or the week before True Lion,
Yeah,
that the
last week.
Mhm,
and the
last
reason
week.
company is still there is because those in charge know that they didn't provide him with the right tools in terms
Mhm.
of like human resource, the players. Yeah, maybe that's why he's still there. But I think now that he's convinced that they don't have the right tools, try something else. Try something else. Because it's not working. You're playing good football. Your players sometimes they get the chances. They're not. I know we cannot blame the coach for players missing open chances. We cannot blame the coach. But I mean, there should be another style you could try to play to maybe turn some of those 2-2 draws to maybe 2-1 win or one
Yeah.
zero loss to a tie and something. Just go out there sometimes and let's try something else. Let's go physical and see if we can get results from some of these teams that are also struggling because West Ham has been on and off in the last month or so.
So, I mean, with that said, Nico, let me ask you this question, right? More specific question about that Burnley. Ajab is saying that the coach should change something, a plan B. But do you think Vincent Company is quite a young coach, right? So, do you
Mhm.
think he has the skills here to actually have a plan B? Because it's difficult to come in the EPL and bring on a possession style. However, it's also difficult to just change styles within the season. So, do you think he has that in his arsenal in order to change style since he's a young coach?
So the one thing I think we touched on last time we were talking about Burnley was the fact that younger coaches that come out of their coaching school, they have their style and they tend to not want to stray too far away from the style throughout the season. The good thing is this system worked for company in the championship, right? But the Premier League seems to be a different beast for them, and they're having a tough time adjusting or adapting, and that's the downfall of Burnley at this point. I think even if company changes the style right now, it's still not going to do them any good. It's too late already to do that. And I'm not sure that the team is drilled enough to play the new style. If at all he goes the Sean Dyche way or the Tony Pulis way, Stoke City type thing where they set up shop all five in the back and four in the midfield and one attacker, and then just put the ball forward and I hope that the attacker can latch onto it and create something from it. um today's game when there was a goal, um about 10 minutes to the end of the game, I think West Ham scored, but it was ruled out by VAR. Or was it, yeah, about 10 minutes, I think, maybe just 5 minutes to the end of the game, and it was ruled out by VAR. It was a mistake. The VAR checked and then they canceled the goal. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you've got 10 minutes to go. As a coach, you tell all your players to like just buckle, lock it down, go Mourinho's way, lock it down. It's going to be a huge win. You're away to West Ham at the London Stadium. It will be a huge 3 points if Burnley comes away with the win. And somehow, they allowed West Ham to get that last minute goal. And it just screams so much um um lack of confidence in the players. Like, how do you not even recognize that this is your one chance to actually write a headline, you know, and somehow they allowed the goal to come in like right after the board goes up, and so it's tough. It's tough, and I feel for them, but unfortunately, it is how the cookie crumbles. We just know that Burnley is going to be relegated no matter what. I think they've accepted this, that's their plan. They've accepted it, and I think they're already rebuilding for life in the championship next season, and then hopefully that they can come back up real quick. and try again. But for now, I think the story is already done for them in the Premier League.
Okay, thank you for that. So now in the bottom three, it's like Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United. We
Yeah.
saw that late equalizer by Luton when they played Crystal Palace, and you see a team that's still fighting and believing that they cannot go down. Also, Nottingham, we saw Nottingham play a team that is not in form in Brighton. We know Brighton just came back from Europe and they were hammered 4-0 by Roma, so that's a team that's not in form. Do you think that Nottingham is actually letting themselves in a position where Luton Town might just sneak in? Because Luton Town now I understand that they are not playing that well, but they have some players that can change things around. What do you think, Aya?
Luton Town, you know what? They know that the only way they can score goals is by set pieces. Do you know how many set pieces they have in a game?
Yeah.
Those guys, they can see the midfield open, they send the balls to the wingers to cross. That's how they play. Especially when they go to the pitch. Their pitch looks a little smaller than other pitches. They
Hmm.
give you in the last from the 85th to the 90th minute, they will have about 15 crosses. Those guys, they don't back up from their crosses. And what you're saying, it's fair. If you notice what happened to Leicester City last season, what is happening to Nottingham Forest is what happened to Leicester City last season. At some point, they started just dropping. Even though with quality, they have quality. If you look in terms of the teams that are in the bottom 10, Nottingham Forest, they have one of the best qualities for the teams that are in the bottom 10 in quality of players. But they just kept, I don't know if it's lack, they're losing confidence in the team, or I don't know, they just keep dropping. That's what happened to Leicester City last season. And all of
Well,
a sudden, they were relegated. So, like
yeah,
you said, teams like Nottingham Forest are giving hope to teams like Luton Town that we are not done yet. We can still stay. We can still stay in the early one. We can still stay in the EPL. Sorry, I said early one. I've been watching a lot of Cameroon football. In the EPL, we can still stay in the EPL. I think the championship is not for us next season. So
yeah,
let's keep pushing because if
yeah. I
you see
think
each time they come from behind to tie or they win, Nottingham Forest is dropping points. So it's giving them that urge, giving them that extra energy. That guys, we're not done yet. We could still make it.
yeah,
And they're losing Adebayo on injury and someone else, but that's not giving them any. So they keep pushing it. So what you're saying makes some sense. Luton Town could maybe it could get to that situation where maybe the last 2 days you define the last team to make it to the relegation. You might get to the last 2-3 days of the league, which I like it when the relegation bottom the relegation fight struggle is always good when you have you have to wait until the last 2 days of the end of the season to see who actually joins the other two, who actually joins the other one. There used to be a time where you just have maybe on the relegation day for all three teams to have the all to have all three teams who will be relegated. You used to have to wait till the last day. Now it's changed, but I want this season to be a season where we'll have at least the last day to choose the third team.
yeah. I think Nottingham Forest has enough quality, and Nuno is a good enough coach. I saw that game, that unfortunate game against Liverpool, where they lost in the last second. The coach has been talking about mistakes, staying focused, and not giving away those last minute goals. Also, that loss today,
Right.
the loss today is something he talked about mistakes as well. But now that we've talked about this relegation, top four. Let's get now to the big boys. The EPL race for the title. Where do you guys want me to start? Do you guys want to start with Arsenal and finish with the Liverpool game, or we start with Arsenal?
Let's start with Arsenal since we're not going to talk a lot about Arsenal, even though it was a tense game. But let's start with Arsenal. That's what I think. Let's
You
start with
mean
Arsenal.
you mean the champions, the current champion, the
No,
Okay.
the
no, no,
league,
no. Yeah,
the top,
leaders,
the leaders at
leaders,
the
not
top.
yeah, leaders, not
Yeah,
champions, please.
the elephant fell from the tree and it has climbed back up.
Yeah,
Okay,
It's
let's get
lonely
to
at
business.
the top, lonely, lonely, lonely.
let's get to
Utopia of
business.
my mind.
Let's get to business. Mikel Arteta received a lot of criticism to start the season because Arsenal was slow. Arsenal was not gelling yet.
mhm.
Let's start with a guy like Ramsdale. His mistake. What do you make of that, Ajab?
Um, Yeah, it's at this point in the season, it's a horrible mistake, especially from someone who's been on the bench and maybe even though he played this game because Raya it's still on loan from Brentford. That's the only reason Ramsdale played this game. It was a horrible mistake from Ramsdale, but I think after the mistake he adjusted to the game. Even he had poor kicks in the first half. The second half, so his passes were going, his passes were going to the targets, the long passes and all that, and some saves he made in the second half of the game. So I think he brought back his confidence. But I think some people putting so much blame on Ramsey. Raya has had similar mistakes, and then you still see him coming back to play the next game and all that. I'm not saying Ramsey should play the next game, but I think he how can I say it? He vindicated himself. Let me use that way. He vindicated himself from the error he made in the first half. He had some poor passes in the first half. He came in the second half and he adjusted both with the ball and without the ball, and then made some key saves, which at least because the game ended 2-1. Arsenal hasn't won a game 2-1 in a very long time. They've been used to 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. And so those saves are some of those saves you could say, oh, he made Arsenal win the game, you know? So Arsenal, but like some people say, Ateta is trying to prove like he's learned a lot from Pep Guardiola. He's been able to control the tempo of the game. Some of the key changes he's making, some of even the way he sets up his game now. When he's playing against a team that is physical, he brings in a Jorginho to calm down that pressure. Just play the short passes, you know. So he's making some changes that is, yeah, he started to tell us that okay, Ateta is getting some experience. He's not just that excited to play fancy football. He's trying to control some games now based on the opponents he's playing, you know, even though he's still sticking to those Saka and the rest, which I don't want at some point for those guys to get tired again like it happened last season. But I think controlling the middle, because when you control the middle field of the game, when you are in control of the midfield, chances are high you're going to control the tempo of the game. And that's what Arsenal has been doing lately. And that's why they've been dominating all the games. You see Declan Rice moving forward now, scoring goals, setting up goals, because he knows Jorginho is behind there, who is not a mobile person. So I think Arsenal is trying to prove that, yeah, they have something in their warehouse this season to release to them, to
Okay.
the public. Yeah.
Okay, Nico, let's go. Rice. Last season, I said Rice was not the right back that maybe Arsenal needed because his offensive play was not good enough. We know about his defensive play; it's been good. But what did you make about Rice in this game? He had two assists. Could you elaborate a little bit on his play?
So the one thing that I'm gonna say about
No,
Rice is
sorry.
it's like
You said white, not rice. You said right, right,
Oh, Ben White. I'm
white,
sorry, Ben
white.
White.
Ben White.
Ben
Oh,
White.
Ben White. Oh, yeah, Ben
White.
White. I mean,
Ben White.
Ben White has been electric for us. Ben White. Yes, I was gonna just mention Rice there and then talk about other things, but this Arsenal. So you know me, guys. The team has been really good this past. I mean, I don't know what it is they ate in Dubai when they went for that warm weather training, but the team came back completely different. And it is quite interesting because right now Arteta has a huge selection dilemma, right? You would think Ben White starting on the right wing, he's good, he's amazing. He drops into the middle, he's still good. He gives you all the three or four elements that you would expect in a player in a team that can do the inverting and outside of the inverting. If Ben White needs to overlap, he overlaps and he does it so well. He provides support to Saka up front. If he needs to invert into the midfield, he inverts into the midfield and he does it so well and helps out Jorginho or Declan Rice or whoever is in there at the time. If he has to drop back and help out Saliba in that middle, he will do it. He drops in and does those clearances. If there's a far post clearance, the long crosses and the far post clearance, he does it so well. And what he gives us in these past two games that we've just, we're really highlighting him on. Sheffield United, the goal he scored, amazing thunder shot. Then in against Brentford, the first cross to Declan Rice, like just a simple ball. He knows that he puts that ball up in the air. Rice is gonna get to it and head it home. The second time around, he looks and he runs in. The ball comes in, perfect pass. He places it right on the noggin for Kai Havertz to put it home. So I would say at the time Ben White was signed, just like all of Arteta's signings, there were a lot of questions. So why are you paying 50 million for someone from Brighton who is a defender? You know, and it turns out to have been money well spent. And let me just segue into talking about Kai Havertz. I know you haven't asked about it, but just like Arteta's signings, Kai Havertz, a signing that nobody really understood why Arsenal was paying $65 million for someone from Chelsea who had quote unquote flopped You know,
65 million pounds, not dollars.
65 million pounds, sorry. For someone who had quote unquote flopped at Chelsea in his first season at in the EPL, it really hurt. Like nobody could make sense out of it. But I think now people are starting to see and believe, what Arteta's vision was for Kai Havertz. Because he also gives you that versatility. He can play as a false nine, he can play in that eight role, he can switch with Odegaard in that 10 role. You can see sometimes he's on the left side of the field, he's on the right side, and he pops up where he needs to be in the box. I just felt really bad in the game. The first half, there were some two chances. Saka had some amazing crosses in the box that I thought to myself, if Eddie Nketiah was on the field, these would be sure goals because that's exactly where Nketiah would be. But because Havertz was playing the false nine role, he was not there at the time the balls came. So in my mind, I'm thinking this guy is so versatile. He's being used in all sorts of. He's like a Swiss Army knife, just being used in all sorts of positions, and it helps. It helps because something that was a like the injury dilemma we had has actually allowed Arteta to express himself a little bit and use Kai Havertz sparingly, and it has allowed us to actually see what he can bring to the game, right? Moving
Yeah.
forward, progression with the ball. So that's a big plus.
Well, yeah. I mean, looking at that game yesterday, this is what I so much admire about Arteta, right?
Mhm.
Analysts they have been all over him. It was Raya, it was Havertz, but he has stood his ground. And yesterday we saw a guy like Havertz, not only the goal, he ran the most miles,
Yes.
6.3. He was doing pressing. But
Hmm.
there was an event, Ajab, that had Brentford. Although the FA has found way for players to discipline players that go to the ref to ask for red cards or second yellow cards, but players have still found a way without making that gesture. Because when Havertz went down in the box, it was a slight touch, yes, but a lot of people you could see that the dive when you look at the replay,
Yeah.
there was a dive but the ref did not give that second yellow card. I mean, what do you make of that incident? Should the ref have given Havertz a second yellow card and a walk off, which means he would have not been there to score
Score the
that
goal.
winning goal?
I'm not well versed with the rules of refereeing and all that. The question I want to ask is: it's every dive punishable by a yellow card? Every dive?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's
Okay, so
not.
maybe then I think that's the reason why Havertz didn't get the yellow card.
Yeah,
Because
it's
sometimes I
subjective
think, yeah, I
Yeah.
because
think
when
the
you
referees they look at the situation of the game, look at the foul
Mhm.
and things like that too. Yeah, so I think maybe Havertz. And sometimes the referee they look at the player too. He's not a perpetual diver. I just
Mhm.
think that they look at things like that. If it's someone who has the habit of diving, it could result to a yellow card. It's someone who maybe he doesn't dive for any reason or things like that. He was touched but barely touched, and then the ref was like, okay, no, let me not ruin. I know I will not say ruin the game, but the situation and also the fact
And he
that
didn't ask for it too much.
not every
Yeah.
dive, you're not penalized with a yellow card for every dive. So I think that's
Mhm.
probably why he didn't get the yellow card. If I was the referee, I wouldn't give him the yellow card. I wouldn't give him the second yellow card for that offense.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I do understand that. And
Yeah, I
also,
think.
yeah, go
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead. I was gonna say like if it was someone like Bruno Fernandez, for sure the ref would be irritated enough to give him a card for that instance. Because the one thing you notice when players dive, the one time the ref will give a card is when the player actually is looking for it, even after diving. So if you dive and fall and they wave it off and you just get on with it, the ref will not mind too much. But if you dive and it's so blatant and then you start asking for the card, like, oh, where's the penalty? Where's the penalty? That's when the ref is like, you just try to trick me, and then you're asking for a penalty. And many times refs will go straight to their pockets for that. And someone like Bruno Fernandez, I just brought him into the conversation here. But the thing is, he's always asking for the ref to do something to favor him, and
Yeah,
it just,
yeah, and I also want to stress that it's a subjective call, right? I
yeah,
mean, you look at
exactly.
when you are referring a game, you have to take the atmosphere of the game.
Exactly.
Was the game a rough game? Was the game
Mhm.
this? Then it also influenced it.
Yeah.
But as soon as the guy went down and the ref saw that yes, there was a slight challenge and there was a slight touch, the ref did not want to spoil the tempo of the
Yes,
game. It's like
exactly.
yes, I'm
Exactly.
gonna
There
let
was
you play
this. Yeah. There
because there
was
But
a
was
the ref,
another.
situation.
the ref was horrible yesterday, though. The ref wasn't the best yesterday. Kai Havertz could have easily gotten a red card. There were two penalty chances where the defender held onto Gabriel Magalhaes' shirt during a corner kick or a free
Yeah,
kick cross,
yeah,
and
but you
Margolis
can't.
couldn't get to the ball in the back end, and
You
the
see,
VAR looked at it and they just let it go. I
yeah,
was shocked.
But
the VAR
again, but
look at
again,
it,
We've
so
seen
you can't
penalties
blame the
given for
referee.
that.
Maybe blame VAR more than the referee in
but,
that
the,
case.
Yeah,
but
because
again,
we've seen
the ref
penalties
was
given for
allowing
a
the
lot
ref
of
was allowing the
rough
physical
tackles.
game.
Yeah.
When that ball always came in, the ball was not playable. Was that ball a
Mhm.
little bit down where
Gabriel.
Trossard could have
Mhm.
got to that
Mhm.
goal? Then I'm sure there would have been a red card. I don't
But
think the
even
ref
on
was
corner
actually.
kicks, you could see people just knocking other people over. Like it was,
And
you would.
that's how, yes, that's how Brentford
That's
wants to
what I
play
wanted to
Yeah, that's
say.
how
Arsenal. They are
Brentford plays.
And
Yeah,
physical.
Arsenal too has become a physical team. If not, they
yeah,
won't be in this situation they are. They've become more physical. So it was a physical battle that if you want to use cards for that game, you will win the game.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
another player I want to highlight in this game is Rice, because I've been critical about Declan Rice, right? I said yes, he's been good defensively, but in the final third, Declan Rice has not been good. But we've seen Arteta, I think that's coaching, because we've seen Arteta when Arsenal was on the ball. You see Declan Rice, he'll move more into that box to box position, and that's how he was able to read the
Yes.
cross from Ben White and score that goal. So that's
Yeah.
excellent coaching from Mikel Arteta. Although Arteta is young, he's received his criticism. I think last year Arsenal was not up to winning the title because they didn't have the players they have this time around. Arteta has made some changes, and now we see Arsenal on top of the league. And not only that, Arsenal has beaten teams like Liverpool this season, Manchester City. In fact, they are undefeated when it comes to the top.
Top six,
No, not
top
top
six.
six. Aston Villa beat them, right?
Aston
No,
Yeah.
Villa beat
Aston
them.
Villa is
Yeah.
not a top 16 though.
The top six right now.
Oh, what are you saying? Aston Villa. Aston Villa
Aston
is
Villa
number
is not.
four in
Well,
the
when we
league.
talk about top six, generally we talk about
No,
Arsenal,
sir.
Liverpool,
No,
Man
No,
sir.
City,
we're
Tottenham,
talking
and
about
then
the
Man
top six
United.
in the table now. Arsenal is not a top six team, if you want to say that. They only beat they only joined back the Champions League last season. So don't go there. So let's
So
what I'm trying to say is this.
come on
And the
now.
reason the reason Rice is playing that good is because he's been moving forward that good is because they
Yes,
brought in someone who knows his strength in Jorginho.
yeah,
I know I
Jorginho.
can't move forward. I just stay to guard the back four, get the ball from them, and play the link up. And he's been good in
Yeah,
that. So that's why, like you remember last week, I said if we want to mention best player of the EPL this season,
yeah,
Rice is definitely going to be in the conversation. He's not going to be the
yeah.
best, but he's going to be in the
He should
conversation.
be in the
And I think
conversation.
if you ask me, even when he was in West Ham, if you ask me, I think Rice is just a victim of that EPL or English pundits overhyping of English players. So because they overhype the players, a lot of people just think Rice is overhyped. Rice is overhyped. The Rice is, and if you watch him play outside the Premiership, even when he plays for England,
Mhm.
Rice is good. He's a good player. But it's just that we know that English people overhype their players. So we just think each time they mention an English player, that guy is overhyped. That's how some people
No,
look
but
at
my
it. But
point,
Rice,
my point,
Rice is good.
yeah, my point with Rice is that he's a good defensive holding midfielder. And when you look at most of his passes, right, sideways passes and all that. So it's not the type of holding defensive midfielder that can break defensive lines with runs. You see what I'm saying? So in the final third, also when he was at West Ham, it's not someone was that good in the final third. But now we see Arteta making those changes and bringing the best out of him. Of course. Now let's move to the final. I mean, the game today, which was Liverpool. Or do we want to read some questions first?
Yeah,
I mean,
let's
some
just go.
comments.
Let's just read a few
Let's go
comments
into
and then
it.
we dive and go into the elephant, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we
What
can
the
look
elephant
at
is doing,
comments. Okay. Let's start with 3lion. I told you City won't win. They don't have a good history at Anfield. Nobody has a good history at Anfield. Nobody. Anfield is deadly, man. I'm telling you. Okay, Songu says, and he continues, Nico, make your skin over sweet. Oh. Next up is you at
Next up for you.
next
Next
up
up
for
for
you
you
is
is
City at
City at
Etihad.
Etihad.
Yeah, I think we can come away from the Etihad with at least a point. I think we
Okay.
can. The way we've been playing, but we'll see. Next one is Man U plays Liverpool in the FA Cup. That's right. That's Man U's next game. I think
Yeah.
that's what we
The
in
FA
the
Cup.
comment.
Okay.
Yeah, because they play the FA Cup, and while Arsenal will be resting that weekend. So the next is Asongu again. Oh no, that was me responding to him. And then he comes again. Nico, enjoy your time, your limited time at the top while it lasts, and then he runs off. Thing is, the way Arsenal seem to play, they will prefer Raya to Ramsdale, even though Ramsdale is a better shot stopper. And I think I've had this conversation many times with some folks. Um, Ramsdale for sure is a better shot stopper. But football today is not about stopping shots as a keeper. You need your keeper to do a lot more than just stop shots. Because first of all, your defense and midfield, if they do their job correctly, you're not going to face that many shots anymore. But when the shots matter, like yesterday, Ramsdale made the saves that were needed. Right in that second half, if Brentford had scored any of those two chances they had, the header by the defender, which he tipped over the bar, and then the one from Ivan Tony, which was a foul kick, which he also went up and parried away. If any of those went in, Arsenal would have lost this game.
But
Because yeah, because
should I say
panic was
should I say something?
yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Any goalkeeper, Raya makes those two stops. Any goalkeeper makes those stops.
We've seen Raya take a goal like that in the Champions League. Raya took a goal just like that in the Champions League.
But when you look at the mistakes,
The
when you
one
look at
Ivan Tony scored, the
yeah,
one Ivan Tony tried, Raya took a goal like that. Remember, he was like
but
a little advanced, and the shot went
but
over
when
him.
you look at the mistakes over the years, the mistakes Ramsdale made, Raya hasn't made those
But
mistakes.
Raya has made
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
mistakes. Raya has made
Raya
a lot
makes
of
mistakes
mistakes too.
too.
Even ball
No, of
passing
course,
mistakes,
of,
right?
of course,
A lot
goalkeepers
of
will make
mistakes.
mistakes, right?
Mistakes are
But
part
when
of
you
it.
goalkeepers will make mistakes, even if the best goalkeepers do make mistakes.
Yeah.
But when you look at the number of mistakes Ramsdale made,
Yeah, they
What I'm
cost.
saying
They
is
cost.
that
yeah,
Raya and Ramsdale, right? No one is world class and the other one is low. The
They
difference between Raya and Ramsdale is not in such a way that Ramsdale has to always be on the bench. It's not like an Allison case. Raya is just another good keeper, and Ramsdale is
Mhm.
not a horrible keeper.
Yeah,
That's
but
how I
from
look at them. Then let's not go
what the
there.
coach wants is something is what Raya has and which Ramsdale doesn't have. You could tell
exactly.
yesterday, even playing with his feet, Ramsdale is very uncomfortable. The first half of the game, Ramsdale booted the ball up front about 12 times. 12 times. And each of those 12 times, the ball didn't get to the target. He threw the
Exactly.
ball twice
It's
and
not
got the
precise.
target. Exactly. But Raya, when Raya boots the ball up front, it trust me, 8 times out of 10, it drops on the person where the ball is supposed to drop, and that's the challenge. And Raya doesn't even take those many boots up front as much as Ramsdale does. Raya would pause, stop the ball, and make a pass. But Ramsdale yesterday, everything is hurried. As the ball comes into the box, he's already thinking of booting it far and long, and that puts more pressure on your players. Because if the ball is going towards the wing and Saka cannot get there, and he tries to chase it down, a defender passes it back to the midfielder, they're already in transition at that point because our defenders are still trying to set up because the ball has been put forward. Because they
Then
probably came to the back to get the pass, to receive the pass, but the goalkeeper chose to go long. So at that time, they're moving forward, and then there's already a transition in progress. We can be caught out easily in those situations. And that's why Arteta does not like Ramsdale's style of keeping. And
no,
that's
I've
the
seen
only challenge we have,
yeah, I've
you
seen
know.
that, especially in the goal yesterday. Just split second decision. He could have
Yep.
got. He went for the most difficult pass instead of just
Thank
going
you.
down to
Just
Saliba.
simple pass.
Had he
Exactly.
gone down to Saliba, that's simple. He tried to
Yep.
complicate it, and I don't want to hear that. He's coming out from the bench because that was just elementary stuff.
Thank you.
Now, now
Thank
let's
you.
go. Let's go to. We finished with the comments, right?
Yes, yes, I think we
Yeah.
are. I don't see
Okay.
anything on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go to the game of the weekend:
yeah.
Liverpool versus Manchester City. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
honestly, going into this game, I thought that Manchester City was gonna win. I thought it was gonna be like a tight one, but I thought Manchester City was gonna win 2-1, even though they have a bad, you know, stats. Even though their stats at Anfield is not as good. Now, what surprised you most, guys? I know you guys were going for a draw 2-2. I said there was not gonna be that many goals. 2 goals were scored. But what surprised you guys most? Is it the way
See,
Liverpool came out and played, or is it the the way? I mean, the finishing, the poor finishing of Liverpool?
um, there should be a campaign. EPL should there should be a campaign for club not to leave. The EPL needs Jurgen Klopp. Trust me. I know Arsenal fans will not want Jurgen Klopp to stay because at least you have one man out, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, Klopp needs to stay. I watched Klopp. I watched this game today. I know if you ask a few people who was the man of the match, they might name 4 or 5 players without naming who I think is the man of the
I
match.
know, I know. Okay, just I know who the man of the match is, and
Okay.
I'll tell you. Okay, let me ask you this question before you continue. Is it a City player?
No,
Okay, my man of the man was a City player. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Oh,
My man of the match is Wataru Endo.
The young Liverpool
yes,
guy.
That's my man
yes,
of the match. The
yes,
number, yeah.
Yep.
He neutralized, like I was saying earlier, when
yeah.
you occupy the midfield of the game, the likelihood you're going to win and the likelihood you're going to control the tempo of the game is very high. Endo, neutral. Endo, Liverpool was playing with a Soboslai who just came back from injury, who was very rusty. And Endo played double roles, the attacking phase and the defensive phase,
Defensive
without
phase.
committing any fouls. He
Thank
made
you.
he made De Bruyne disappear at some point in the game. He made Rodri not able to control games like he normally does. That's what Endo did today. So let's go back to the game. Liverpool started the game. I thought the reason why Jurgen Klopp was rushing for Salah to be part of the last game and Soboslai and all that was because he wanted them to be part of this game. Liverpool started this game with Kwanzaa and Van Dijk, two ball playing centre backs, and they had an excellent game. And Kwanzaa is a very young guy. One of the reasons Klopp didn't bring a new centre back because of Kwanzaa, a guy which he brought from the academy, and he's instilled so much confidence in him, and he's paying back Klopp. And then they used Bradley. Bradley did a very good job, even though he was subbed, but he did a very good job. And then you had Joe Gomez, Robertson on the bench, Salah on the bench, and then they controlled the game. This is the first time. I don't remember the last time a team played against ManCity and controlled
That's it.
possession of the game.
Yep.
Man
Arsenal.
City is normally the team, even if they
Arsenal
don't
did.
have that
Arsenal
scoring
did.
chances, but they get the possession of the game. Liverpool had the
Arsenal did.
possession. I don't remember the
Arsenal did.
last time a team played against Pep Guardiola and had possession of the game. I don't remember.
Arsenal did.
I
Arsenal
don't
did.
remember.
Arsenal did.
I don't remember. Even when Liverpool had Firmino, Salah, Mane on top of the game with Fabinho and all, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But it happened today. And then
Okay.
Liverpool didn't only dominate possession, but they were wasteful in front of goal. It means they
Yeah.
had all the chances to win this game today, but for one or two reasons. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I would say I miss Diogo Jota today.
Okay. Nico, I know he
Yes.
talked about possession. Yes, I remember Arsenal. Was that a year ago where they lost? That was last season
Last
where
season.
Arsenal dominated possession, but
And then we
Manchester City.
lost with a back pass that
Exactly.
was a mistake.
Okay, so what do you make about this? I think the reason why Liverpool was able to come out and press, dominate possession, and even pass the ball better than Manchester City is because they had a young team, right? So those guys could run like 90 minutes. Liverpool was running 90 minutes. It remembered me like of their old team where you have the Firminos and all that, where they used to do the high press, high metal football and all that. I mean, in your opinion, what made Liverpool look so good and dominated this game in both halves?
Um, I would say the way the team set up, the way the team set up, I was kind of surprised, right? If you look at the lineup on the right side, Liverpool had these academy kids, Elliot in the front, maybe McAllister, yeah, and then you have Bradley and Kwanzaa on the right side of the defense, and that's the side where Alvarez was gonna come down and attack the ball, and somehow these kids still got the best of Alvarez. Um, like Ajab said, the Premier League needs club, and the Premier League needs club. This it takes tactical genius to see this. For example, Ajab talked about Wataru Endo, and I quickly just looked. This guy had like 9 clearances of the ball, 8 interceptions, eight defensive actions, 6 ball recoveries. I mean, the rating is what is that, 96% accurate passes. Nobody can see that happening against a City side that's in form, right? I didn't even realize that there was Kevin De Bruyne on the field after the second half started, until he was subbed off, and there was that he did you guys see the argument between him and Pep Guardiola on the bench when he was
Yeah.
subbed off?
There was that one pass he gave to Foden. That Foden missed
Foden
that goal.
missed.
And then
Yeah,
that was
that
it.
was in the first
That
half. That
was
was in the first
no
half.
second half, and then that
That
was
was in
it.
the second half. Oh, that was it.
That was
Yeah,
the only
because
time that
I
he did
didn't.
something.
I mean, at some point, I've never seen that happen. I
No,
have
but
never seen that happen. He was literally neutralized in that game, and I think the time the board went up and he was being sub. Imagine Pep Guardiola making subs in the 69th minute. We've never. I don't think I've seen that before. He usually makes his subs in the 70 something minute, 80th minute. Even when his team is doing horrible, he sometimes keeps the players there and they play the entire 90. He has played games without making a single sub in the Premier League, Pep Guardiola. But somehow today, in the 60th minute or so, he made subs, Alvarez and Kevin De Bruyne. You know,
And guess who he brought in? Kovacic, and a defensive
Kovacic.
midfielder.
Exactly.
You have to
So he
understand
was
it's not
literally
possible.
conceding at that point, like, okay, we're gonna just close up shop and take the point.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
as you guys earlier said, that midfield, the dominance of the Endos, and I think I saw like more of a block, right? It was not only Endo, it was McAllister, it was
yes,
Soberslide, and that actually helped Liverpool set up that pace, right? But I think also that Manchester City is not playing their best football. They were sloppy. Their
yeah,
passes were sloppy. And the reason why those passes were sloppy is because that energy, I'm talking about that youthfulness, because yes, Salah was not there. Salah was not fit. So Soboslai was not 100% fit, but they had the energy and they were pressing. What they did without the ball was actually pressing Manchester City into giving like bad passes. I think Alvarez was not actually good. I know last game he came in had that impact, But De Bruyne, let's be honest, De Bruyne, ever since he came back, he's had that goal against Newcastle. That
hmm
was a great highlight and all that. But De Bruyne has not been good. Even in last game, we did
yeah,
not
he
see
was
the
struggling.
yes, De Bruyne has been struggling. So for me, I was not surprised that he was replaced. Pep replaced him. Yes, he was not happy about it. But yes, dude, you were not good. So they needed to bring Kovacic in to come and stabilize things in the midfield. However, you talked about Endo being your man of the match. Go check out Walker. Without
Yeah,
Walker, Manchester City could have been beaten at least 3
yeah,
4-1 today.
Walker
but
was
but
good,
but
but
Luis Diaz took the
Walker
best of
was good,
him.
but I thought
Luis Diaz got past him
Luis
a
took
few
him to the
times.
cleaners. He will not
Yeah,
be in my top five. Luis
yeah,
took him to
Luis
the
Diaz
cleaners.
took care of.
Yeah,
Literally,
to
Luis
cleaners.
Diaz
Yeah,
destroyed Kyle
yeah.
Walker. Like
Oh,
towards.
Hold
Let me
on,
let me
hold on,
just
guys.
explain
I
the
don't know
comment.
what
Hold
game
on.
you guys are watching.
no,
No,
go watch
let
the
me
game.
just explain.
Hold
Let
on,
me
hold on,
explain.
hold on.
Both of us should go watch the game again
Hold
and
on, let me
come
say
back.
something.
Yeah.
Dribbling a guy one time, two
No,
times.
It
I
wasn't
said
one
Listen,
to
time.
the cleaners. You're talking about
listen,
one
It
time.
wasn't one time.
listen. Oh my goodness. Dribbling a guy one, two, three times without you passing, getting the ball to target, you did not win.
No, because Diaz was just wasteful. We all agree.
No.
There was a moment in the second half where Liverpool, where Diaz took on not only Rodri, but he also got past Walker in a very seamless move.
And what
Not
happened?
once.
He
Not
embarrassed both
what are
of
you
them,
talking about
What
once? What are
happened?
you talking about
What
and
happened
once?
at
it,
the end?
and you
Was he
know
able
that
to
at
get his
that
cross?
time, you know that because Rodri pulled him down, Rodri could have actually gotten a second yellow card for
No.
that.
Was he able to get his cross in?
No, but
No.
that's the point because Rodri stepped in and actually after he had embarrassed Walker. Man, come on,
No, no, no,
like
no, no, no. It's the ball hit Walker on the face and went for a corner kick. He was not
because they had
able to.
already beat, they already beaten him
He
down the
was
line.
not able to get his cross. And also, there were about 4 blocks that Walker made alone,
Mhm.
handedly.
At some point, Walker was even absent-minded in the game because he had been exhausted from the runs and all that. If you look at the goal, you look at the fake penalty that Salah was trying to cause.
I was trying to cause.
That
Yep.
fake penalty. If you look at
Yep.
that ball, when Endo was the one who deflected the ball, right?
Who
And
prevented who
when
prevented the kid from having a
well,
shot on
that's what
target?
I'm saying. When Endo deflected the ball, Walker was suffering from indecision. He didn't even know if to go or not to go. And by the time he wanted to go to Luis,
Luis Diaz.
how do you call him? Gakpo took the ball and
Gakpo.
then he delayed and then gave the pass to
What happened? Why did he delay?
because Man City regrouped. It's not only
No, because
Walker.
Walker was
Not
blocking
only
this
Walker.
way.
Walker
No,
was
no,
there,
no, no,
and
no,
the
no,
other
no.
guy was there. What's his name?
No, no. Go watch it. Go watch
The
it.
Swiss guy, Akanji. I watched the game,
No,
Tru3lion. I know what I'm
because
talking about.
We
Walker,
all watched the
I
game.
know what I'm
See,
talking
True
yes,
about.
Lion,
Walker was the one
I think,
blocking the ball.
yeah, Walker did make some interceptions. He did
No,
do
I'm
some
not
good
saying he
stuff.
didn't make some interception,
But
but
the thing
if
is,
I
he
have to
was
name five
exposed
players
to
for
this.
today's game, Walker is not going to be
Yeah,
among.
he
So
was
I
Oh
agree with
no,
exposed.
you.
my man of the match in that
Mhm.
game, especially on the Manchester City side, was Walker because Walker
Okay.
disrupted all the. If you see where what's his name, Walker poked a ball in the last minute.
Yeah,
Another
that
time,
one, yeah,
Walker made what's his name, the guy we're just talking
interception.
about.
Oh, Endo.
No,
No,
the
Diaz,
winger.
Diaz.
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 Walker also made Diaz change his mind many times. Walker
Yeah,
was a
but
Another
destroyer.
another thing. Okay, you see how football is changing. We're discussing about Man City's man of the match being good defensively.
Oh
yeah,
yes,
Man City's best players are always we always talk about them on the attacking phase to show how good Liverpool was. We're talking about Man
but
City today, how good they were
but
defending a game.
Man
yeah,
City,
but
yeah.
That's
we
to
all
show how
agree.
good Liverpool was.
But
That's
we
how I
all
look at the game
agree.
too.
But we all agree that Liverpool was the
Yes.
better team.
No, no, no.
However,
I'm just
but
highlighting. I'm not
yeah,
counteracting your point. I'm just highlighting. But what I'm saying is that the way I watched this game today, Endo was my man of the match by
Yeah.
miles,
Yeah.
way miles. And then I give it for Man City. I'll even look more at Akwanji. Let me see. What's his name? Akanji. Akanji
Akanji.
to me had a really good game. If you ask me,
yeah. But
Akanji had a good game to me. But no, 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 no.
for me, when I look at it, for
Kyle
me,
Walker, I'm looking. Let me look at his stats right now. I'm looking. He
when I
lost
look at
seven
it, yeah,
duels.
look at the
He
stats.
lost
When I
seven
look at it,
duels
for
today.
me, Liverpool stood out more as a team. There was
Yeah,
because Van Dijk had many interceptions as well. Van Dijk,
exactly.
his positioning and all that, he had many decisions. But
And
when you
we
look
have
at
to.
when
Yeah,
you
go
look
ahead.
at Manchester City, all of them were not playing well. But the only person who stood out was Kyle Walker.
I
Okay,
mean, he
yeah,
stood
okay.
out
If you
to
say the
me.
best, if you say your man of the match for Man City is Skywalker, I can say yes. But for the game in general, I will not put Walker as
Yeah,
my top. Mark Walker will be my top. Like I said, my own man of the match for Man City. I'll give it to Akanji. Yeah, because I tried to look. No one else played because even Rodri, who normally
I
is,
think.
doesn't have a bad game, had a bad game. Let me not say horrible game, but he didn't have a good game. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, because
I'll not say
with
horrible.
I think. I think all of this is happening because John Stones had a different role today to
Oh,
play today.
but that's
So
his
he
role. He
wasn't.
normally
He
plays,
wasn't.
right?
Yeah, he had a little different role to play today, and that's how he popped up in the box and got that goal. If he had stuck to the role he usually plays, Walker wouldn't have been exposed as much. Because there were times when Luis Diaz was literally with acres of space, and he beat Walker one time and just was not clinical at all. Luis Diaz could have gotten like 2 or 3 goals
that's
today.
the Walker effect. Even when you are far away, 10 steps ahead, you still hear the
You still
footsteps.
feel him.
You know the
You
footsteps.
still feel
Walker
him.
is coming, so you have to
That's
change your
right.
mind, and that's how
So
effective. Because
yeah,
if without Walker, Liverpool would have won. But now you see the dominance. If you look at possession, right? Let me see
mhm.
ball possession. Oh
It's
wow,
like
Yeah. Possession.
53,
Liverpool
Liverpool
had
had more
47 or
possession
50.
than City. Liverpool had more possession than City.
yes,
Yeah.
53-47, and the
Mhm.
chances they created, they only had 6 shots on target because it's
Target.
joined, right?
Hmm.
Manchester City also had 6 shots. So
See,
with all that dominance, when I talk about the ball that was poked at the last minute by Walker, and that was gonna be a clean shot by Luis Diaz, right?
These
When I talk
Diaz.
about the kid that came in, the whole Ngakpo that came in,
Gakpo.
Mhm.
he had that opportunity, but Walker was in his face.
Yeah.
Two, three more opportunities, Walker in their faces. So for me, that's why Walker is my man of the match.
And I mean, if we look at the action areas, there was a lot more action in the Liverpool box than the City box. You know, for the shot map, and even though McAllister was given the man of the match, for the game, because I don't know why they gave it to him, because I think
Well,
thing he did was
well,
score that penalty, but um,
well, no, but you see what I say, right? I said when you look at Liverpool, it was more of a team effort because I can call you 3, 4 Liverpool players that had outstanding games. On the same hand, I can call you 5 Manchester City players that were flops. I can call you Alves. I can call you De Bruyne. I can call you Haaland. I don't know how many touches he had. I can call you
So
Foden.
Salah had more touches than Haaland.
Salah,
Imagine,
yeah,
I can call you
Salah,
Foden.
and
So
Salah came in like the what 60th minute, 65th minute. So the one
exactly.
thing too that we need to note, I want to point out, is the goalkeeper situation at City. Edison also got injured today. Most likely he will be out for a little bit. Um, but the second choice guy,
Oteda,
the
the German, Oteda.
He's good.
Ortega, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
really
good.
good.
Yeah, he's
Just
good.
like Liverpool's second keeper. Like, I mean, these
Yeah,
keepers are amazing,
the
man. Like,
second keeper for Liverpool has been really
Yeah.
good too.
he's
Yeah,
Kelleher. He's been amazing.
some guys forgot that
Amazing.
Allison is
I
injured.
know, I know. It
He's good.
almost makes it,
And
yeah, it almost makes you
see,
think Allison
sometimes
is not being
you know
missed.
why sometimes I don't like. I'm sorry. I know we're gonna have. You know why sometimes I don't like this issue of stats.
What? Why?
it might make. Can you know Liverpool has scored more goals without Salah than they've scored with Salah?
With Salah. That's
So
right.
do
You
you
will
think
never
Salah
know
has to be on the bench if you want to follow stats?
No, but what are you talking? What are you
because
talking
the
about? You are
science
looking
now.
at stats. You are looking at stats from the wrong point of view. Stats are there to help your analysis. Stats are not there as a standalone.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying now. I said sometimes people say stats, football is stats. That's what I said.
No,
That's
but
what I'm
who are
trying
you
to say.
talking about? The fun is that you listen a lot to people who don't understand what
No,
stats is there for.
Lion, we're having
Data
a
from
conversation.
data
We're
from
having a
data you can
conversation, right?
derive insights, right? When you use this data is being used to derive insights, and sometimes the insights are not fully correct. Like
They
I
don't
think
paint the
somebody
full
had said,
picture.
yeah, they don't paint the full picture. So
Yeah.
somebody said, I think somebody had made the comment in one of our streams before, like data without without perspective around it is pointless, right?
Exactly.
So we do have to take it within a certain context to understand what those insights are, and I think that's how these stats should be used. Yes, we, when we're commenting or talking about these things, we will of course make comments because we're looking at stats, and sometimes we're looking at them from a blank canvas and saying, this is what the stats say, so this person is better than this person. No, I think the idea here is the stats are supposed to help our subjective positions to come up with some type of idea of how we balance that, right? We find the middle ground to make sure that if you're relying on stats, you're also relying on certain things, because the eye test is the best test in soccer, in football. The eye test. If a player comes on the field and you don't see them perform on the field, no matter what the stats say, sometimes the eye test, if you just can't pass the eye test, it's very tough for a coach to pick you, right? So those are some of the things that we have to balance. And in this new age of football, where technology and football and the talent and creativity on the field comes together, that's the one thing that I think many of these coaches and other teams struggle with. Because somebody may be really good on paper, but when you see them on the field, they're like, body language, all the other things, you know.
Yeah, and also as you say, right, the stats are there. You look at the stats. If you didn't watch the game, it gives you a different impression, right? So
Yes.
you have
Yes.
to watch the game to see what people
Yes.
are doing with the football, because someone can have 10 shots on target, and you
Yes.
go look at those shots, they were not really opportunities, but someone has
Exactly.
two
There
shots
you
on
go.
target and they
Okay.
were like
And
clear
convert.
Okay.
opportunities. But
Exactly.
now
Like
when you
okay.
watch the game, you
Exactly.
have that in mind, you can
Mhm.
elaborate. Like, although, like I just said, yes, Liverpool played the better game, but their finishing was poor. The only
Yes.
time Manchester City had, that was not even an opportunity. Stones came out and scored. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Then
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
talking about Anke having that bad pass.
Back
That's
pass.
what actually brought Liverpool and gave them like more
The
confidence.
penalty. That's right.
You see, so
That's
Yeah.
right.
now when you look at Manchester City as a team, you can call 4 or 5 players that had a bad game.
And
On the opposite side with Liverpool, you can call about 4 or 5 players that had a very good game. Like you
yes.
Game.
just said, you mentioned Endo, right? But now
Mm-hmm.
we look at the man of the match. They're talking about Alexi
Yeah.
McAllister.
But he had a
McAllister.
good game too. McAllister had a good game too, though. He had a really good game too. Besides the penalty, he had a good game. His passes and all that, he had a good game. Even though if you ask me, I'll say. And another thing too, like you just said, True Lion, true. If you go look, if you didn't watch the game and you go look at the stats, someone will say, but why is True Lion and Ajab and Nico saying that Liverpool had a great game where they both had 6 shots on targets? You know, shots on targets are those shots that go on goal. Like the two misses from Luis Diaz, they're not going to call them shot on targets
They're not
because
gonna
the things
call them
were
shots
goal,
on
right?
target. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but those are clear misses than the ones that
Mhm.
actually went on target.
No, but they go
So
under another
yeah,
stat category though. Big
eh,
chances missed.
yeah, but I mean they don't mean I mean shots on
they,
target. They
they
won't
don't
go under
count.
shots
Yeah.
on target, right? So
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
it's it's
it's a
quite
worry.
interesting.
If you think that shot on target means that that was a great chance created, no, you're wrong.
exactly,
You should go look
Exactly.
what shot on target actually means,
exactly.
because big
Anybody
chances means that paints another picture.
that paints. And
Yeah.
then another thing we look at stats is something like
And
assist.
even
So someone
yeah.
can tell you that this is not a good midfielder because he has only 2 assists. I don't think that's a fair way to analyze a midfielder. You
But
understand?
my
Because
brother,
I could give Nicholas Jackson a good pass and he misses it. They're gonna punish me that I don't
Now
have a
you
good
don't have
assist
an
rate.
assist. Yep.
You understand?
but you know what I try to stay away from, right? I try to stay away from conversations that will not make my soccer IQ, my football IQ
Yeah.
better. Because most of
Thank
what
you.
you are saying is
Thank you.
when we are talking in some groups, and you see someone bring stats and just slap it down on the table.
Thank you.
But those are
Thank you,
people who
Tru3lion.
don't understand the
Yep.
game, right? They
Thank
don't
you. Thank
understand
you.
the game. They just take the stats and slap it on the table, and that's how the
Mhm,
game was played. And you
mhm.
know, that's how everything should
No,
go
but
by.
that's true. Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
That's true. Fair point.
We
Fair
have
point.
we have some
And
comments
now,
on Facebook. I don't know
okay,
if
yeah,
you guys
go,
want
go,
to,
go
since
ahead,
we're
yeah.
on the hour mark. Somebody Peter's AE says stats are deceiving at times, which we agree. And then Peter also says you bring in Salah, you want key NO.
He knows I love Mo
He
Salah,
knows,
so
he
that's it.
knows, he knows. All right, and then a comment here from Raymond Tar. Players don't just play for themselves. How do you think the coaches affect his role, especially his passing, as mentioned by Tru3lion? I think it was Rice. Does Rice have free will, or is he confined to the system of play in the national team, or at Arsenal, or when he played for West Ham? I think that's a very valid question
Yeah, let me. I
because
can
we're
throw some
talking
light on
about
that.
Rice at that point.
Yeah,
So
I
he's
can throw some
saying,
light on.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tru3lion.
Okay, yeah. Normally, when you see the way Arsenal plays, right,
Mm-hmm.
everything is scripted. Arteta scripts everything for Arsenal. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why. If you see when they play teams that will sit back and defend, and he plays Jorginho, as you earlier said, is because Jorginho is a great passer, better than Rice. He doesn't want to take out Rice because he knows that off the ball, Rice can do the defending. So each both players, those two pivots, they complement each other.
Yeah,
Jorginho will be the one making those passes, breaking defensive line,
in the lines.
while all Rice needs to do is to make runs into the box and look for goals. And since Arsenal plays high, nothing has really changed in his game. Is that now he plays in a team that plays high, so he can take advantage of the role of the box to box, and we see him scoring goals. But as far as ability, technical ability, nothing has changed from the player. It's the same player that I said was not good in the final third. However, he's playing in a system that encourages him to be in the box. So now we see him scoring more and more goals. But as a player, I think nothing has changed.
Agreed, agreed. Ajab, it looks like you want to say something about that, or
No, 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 no. I don't want to
okay.
say anything. I'm a fan of Declan Rice since he was when he started his first game for West Ham when he was like 19. I saw potentials in him, but like I said, he's just a victim of the overhyped English players that some people don't want to pay attention to the way he plays. He has a lot in his game. He has a lot in his game. So I'm just a fan of him. And
Okay,
so when
so
he's playing well, I just like to see him play well.
let me ask you this question. You
Mhm.
say he's just a victim of the overhype. So if you name me five holding midfielders, top five holding midfielders right now, will you put him ahead of Rodri?
No,
No,
Okay. Who else? Will you put him ahead of? Let me talk
Enzo,
about the. Yeah.
Enzo,
No, I
Enzo,
don't want to.
no, no,
No,
no. You're
I don't
talking
want to
about
stay only in the EPL because yes, in the EPL he makes top five easily.
Chomeni, maybe.
the only
Chouameni.
play. Guy, way ahead. Who's Chomeni? Who is Chomeni? Who is Chomeni?
Okay.
Chomeni is not even top three in Real Madrid. You're talking about who is
Oh, you
Chomeni?
think Chouameni is not top
Who
three in
is
Real Madrid?
Chomeni?
I
Yes,
mean,
Chomeni, who is
who
I
will you
Chomeni?
think
put?
Chomeni is
Let me ask
actually
you a
top.
question. Who will
Wait,
you
Chomeni is
who?
actually the third best ranked
No,
based
hold
on.
on. Let me ask you
Uh,
a question. Who will you put ahead of Chouameni and Real Madrid?
Who
yeah,
will I
Chomeni is
put?
actually best ranked, man.
If you,
Like
I'm
third.
talking of the coach not using him
No,
all the
I'm
time.
asking a
It
question. Who
doesn't
will you
matter.
put
But
ahead of Chouameni and Real Madrid?
If I want to play Real Madrid, I will use Chomeni. But I'm talking right now. He's not playing.
all right, let me
No,
Injuries
he's
let me
playing
something
give
as a
you.
injuries.
Let me
defender.
give you. Hold on,
No,
guys.
he's
Let me
playing
give
now
you.
because of his players. He's playing because injured. When everyone was ready, Ancelotti
No,
would
no.
rather
My
put
question.
even
I just asked you a simple
No,
question,
Camavinga.
Ajab. I just
guys,
asked
hold
No,
on,
you, who
hold
will
no.
on,
you
hold on.
put in Real Madrid ahead of him?
Right now, me. If you're talking about me, I will use
Yeah,
Chouameni. But I'm talking about at Real Madrid. He's not the first choice. I'm not talking
no,
about
no, no.
my own
Well,
choice.
that's fine.
No.
He started. He actually Chomi has been starting games more and more now.
Yeah,
God.
no, he's starting as a
I just
defender
asked
because of
you.
injuries.
Okay,
I'm
who is
telling you
the
that.
first choice? Who's the first choice?
Let me give you guys the rundown. 90 minutes did a survey on this. They did some ranking. They came up with
No,
some
you guys are
ranking.
not getting my point.
No,
So
no,
If you
hold on,
ask
hold on.
me,
Let Nico talk. Let Nico talk.
I want to just point out there's a ranking out there, right? That looks into account the vigorous work that the player does in the defensive midfield. What does it say? Higher. It shows the level, showing class, inheriting. Um, being able to read the game and help out the defensive play and influence in the game. Rodri is first, Declan Rice is second, Chomeni is third, Joshua Kimmich is fourth,
Who's
and
Chomini?
Casemiro is fifth.
Who is Chomini?
These are stats. These are
Who is
stats that,
Chomini?
and then if Bisuma is sixth, these are stats that came
Okay.
from
Do you
the
know what?
first half of the year. So in January, this was done. This
So
is
do you
there.
know what? Do you know what? I'll just laugh at that because they call Casemiro. So let's just go ahead and say something else because
Yeah.
So the truth is, guys, the way I look at it, in Real Madrid, Chomeni has not really been, because coaches have players, they have things that they want a player to be able to do for the player to be able to fit their style, and so that's why for Real Madrid, you get to see sometimes Chomeni doesn't get used at all, by his coach. I don't fault him for that because I think that he's just a victim of the system, just like Declan Rice is a victim of overhyping of English players by the English media. If you look at matches that Chomeni has participated in for Real Madrid, he has actually delivered the goods. If you ask me, I do watch the Real Madrid from time to time because they're like my second home team. But when you look at Real Madrid playing against uh, uh, what was that, the Champions League game they had where they tied Leipzig,
Leipzig.
just like, yeah, where they type Leipzig. Chomini was used in the midfield three,
No.
but he was used on the right side.
Yeah, but
He's not used as
yeah.
a holding
No. This
holding midfielder
this
because
season
the
I'm not
coach
gonna talk.
prefers.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Nico. This season I'm not gonna blame Chomini a lot because he plays as a centre back even because they have a lot of
yes,
English players.
yes,
But
because the
as a
coach.
midfielder, I've watched Chomini from Bordeaux to Monaco to French national team to Real Madrid. Chomini is just a good defensive midfielder. He's not up there.
Wow.
Chomini is just a
Okay.
good defensive midfielder.
So
He's not
let
up
me
there.
ask
Well,
you.
it's all subjective at some
Let me
point.
ask you. Let me ask you a question then.
Mhm.
Ball handling, breaking defensive line. Can Declan Rice do that?
Ball handling, breaking defensive lines.
Yes, making runs and breaking defensive line. Can Declan Rice do that?
Yeah, he can do it.
No, he's not better. That's the reason why they are bringing Jorginho in because Declan Rice doesn't break defensive line. He doesn't
Jorginho
pass
doesn't
forward
either.
passes.
No,
Jorginho doesn't either.
No,
Jorginho
Jorginho reads
doesn't.
the ball, the
okay.
game a little
Chouameni,
better.
Chouameni and Partey are better
Thank you.
ball handlers.
Those are the people you can call. Partey
Yes,
is a better defensive midfielder than Chouameni.
Yeah, than
Thomas
of
Chomeni.
Partey.
course, of course, but he's still growing, right? Chouameni is still growing, still young, right?
How
So
Yeah,
old is he? How old is Chouameni?
Chouameni is it
Chomini, I
22?
think, let me look. He's 20. Let me quickly look.
Is it 21,
Chomini is
22?
24, 24, 24.
Ah,
24.
how old is Rice?
Oh, Rice is
Declan
24.
Rice is 24.
Exactly. Then he's still growing. Is Rice not still growing as well? Why are you talking about still growing?
No, but I'm talking about the technical.
Kamavinga. Sometimes Ancelotti even prefers Kamavinga to play as a
Camavinga.
defensive midfielder
Yeah,
over Chouameni.
But I do
Sometimes,
understand
can
that
you
Chouameni
imagine?
because Chouameni had injuries also.
No, even without
Declan Rice
injuries,
is 25.
coach used to
No,
prefer.
no, no,
I
no,
think,
no.
I think,
Look,
I think,
watch
guys,
last
we have
season.
to agree to disagree on
Okay,
this one
Watch.
because it's
Ajab.
all subjective at some point, right? It's all
Okay,
subjective at some
it's
point.
okay.
Oh
It's
yeah,
I
okay.
think if there was a metric out there which we could use, again, this ranking is from 90-minute football. They did
Okay.
this in January. So I think the stats they were using or whatever they were using was from like
The
between last season and
the
January,
True Lion
right?
said he's not going to look at it because
We're
they
in March
mentioned
right now because Casemiro
Casemiro.
is ranking
yes,
it
man.
this
As soon
season.
as
Like, oh, I'm not because
as soon
Casemiro
True
is.
Lion said True
You
Lion said
guys
he's not
forget
going to
that
listen to
Casemiro
our stats because they mentioned
because Casemiro is.
Casemiro. But honestly, Casemiro is washed out. Honestly, he's washed out.
Yeah, he is. He
Yeah,
is. I mean, and
yeah,
man, the team. I think
yeah,
again, it's a victim. He's a victim of the system in which he's
no,
yeah.
playing right now.
no,
He's
no,
a victim. No, because Casemiro would have a better influence in a different team. I feel. I think
no,
Man
no.
United, the way Man United is set up right now, anybody who comes into that Man United team right now and doesn't have a huge personality to take things to take things in charge is going to suffer the same fate. It's like Chelsea right now. Moses Casado and Enzo Fernand and is it Fernando and Enzo
Enzo
Fernandez
Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez.
Fernandez.
Yeah. Mm.
The other guy too. What's the other guy? The guy who was up and coming, Lavia, Romeo Lavia.
Lavia. Okay,
Those are all
Lavia.
players we've not really gotten a chance to enjoy their football anymore this season because they last season they were electric.
But they are
But
in a different situation.
so each time, the thing is, the system you come into also affects you, and that's why I think some of these agents really don't do some players a lot of favor. You can look at a team, the way the team is playing, and you can try to figure out if you will fit into that system. And many times, I think agents don't pay attention to that. You have to be a good fit in the team versus just getting the
No,
contract and going to
no.
the team
I
to play.
think, I
You
think,
know,
Nico, that's not
yeah,
the case with Casemiro, man. Stop making excuses for Casemiro because that guy is finished. That guy is above his playing time. I mean, it's behind him because he was brought to Manu as one of those players. But he keep. Did you watch his last game? I mean, the game we
yeah.
just
Yeah.
yesterday.
Casemiro is washed up. We all
He gave
agree on that.
about 10 wrong passes, just
Yeah,
unforced errors everywhere. You see what I'm saying? Then he started criticizing the team and all that. I mean, Casemiro is just like he came for the money, right? Don't get me wrong. Casemiro at Real Madrid, that was the player we actually know. But when you play along players like Cruz, who's world class, Luka Modric, who's world class, I was a Casemiro fan 5 years ago, 6 years
yeah.
ago, but not anymore. He's not the
I
same
think he's
player.
33 now. 33. It's
Yeah, he's
34.
not just the same player.
So he's yeah. Okay. Well,
Well, do we
over
have
to
any
you.
more
We're
comments?
done with the comments. Yeah. Yeah, we're done with the comments. Over to you.
Oh, okay. It says, why are we mentioning useless Manchester United?
Oh
Then
yeah,
the same
that's
people against them.
Alberto Azongo.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
says, "Wow, we mentioning useless teams like Man U."
Well,
That's
well,
fine.
well. I see my boy. I mean, before we finish this session, I see Ajab is elated. He's wearing a Chelsea jersey. A guy
I
who
know.
told me,
I'm a little
he,
surprised.
he, I think this is a jersey you said was on the way, right?
No, 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 no. This is 2 years, 2 seasons back. I
Two
bought this
seasons
two
ago.
seasons back. It's an old thing. No, no, no. I said I bought PWD jerseys last 2 seasons without buying a Chelsea jersey. That's how
Oh
I'm
yeah.
getting attached to the African football more than European football. That's what I said. But I have a new Chelsea jersey on the way. Eventually, I'll
So
put it on.
Chelsea versus Newcastle tomorrow. Who do you think wins that game?
Chelsea. No, Chelsea is gonna win. Chelsea is
You
gonna win.
think
Yeah,
against Newcastle?
yeah. Chelsea is gonna win. Chelsea is gonna
Well,
win.
Okay.
Newcastle has not also been playing
Yeah.
good
Very
lately,
good
and they're
football.
playing at the Stamford Bridge. It's not as if
Yeah.
they are playing,
No, but Chelsea, Stamford Bridge means nothing to football anymore. Stamford Bridge is just like another pitch nowadays, man.
Okay, okay, I hear you.
But Chelsea is
So,
gonna, Chelsea is gonna win for sure. Chelsea is gonna win. But
so now
it's
the
gonna
week.
be if you bet if you gamble on football, just bet on both teams to score because Chelsea, of course, they're gonna concede.
They're
So
gonna concede. Yeah, but there's much to be talked about Pochettino, though. I know I maybe freestyling at this point, but Pochettino hasn't done a lot of good to Chelsea's project. What do you guys attribute that to? Do you think that it all comes down to just him not being that coach again anymore? Because we've seen Mourinho go from high graces to like lose it all, and like get fired everywhere he goes now because he doesn't deliver the results. Is Pochettino fast approaching that, even though he hasn't really coached that much, that long,
No,
and hasn't even had that many results?
no, Chelsea had so many problems signing a lot of players that don't fit the system. So Pochettino will not be fired. Pochettino needs more time. I believe with more time he can actually do better, and he has some players that will even go better. A guy like Nicholas Jackson that a lot of people are laughing. I give that boy a year or two. That boy is gonna be a beast in front of the goal.
True
So
Lion, True Lion. For some reason, someone could think that I messaged you to say all this because that's the exact idea I have in mind. Like everything he said about Pochettino and Jackson it's Control C, Control V for me. Copy and paste. Trust me. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the idea. I don't care what people say, but that's how I look at it. Pochettino came in. The Chelsea project is different. They go Joe Shields and the other people are getting some players that don't fit in it. So I think if you give him time and maybe he has a say in the way, even though it's a project, right? At
Mhm.
least he should have a say in the project, in who's coming in. Because you can't just bring me in young guys that want to make money or I want me to produce you results. Let me have a say too in the choices of players that are coming in. So I
yeah.
think if Poch has maybe another one season to do something, he might not be first or second, but he will be giving both the smaller teams and the bigger teams around for the money because right now they say he collects from the rich and he gives to the poor.
Gets to the
That's what is
poor.
happening with Chelsea right now. So
Okay.
he's giving Arsenal a run for the money. He gave Liverpool, he gave ManCity, everyone,
Yeah.
Tottenham, and then now he goes and he meets Brentford and Nottingham Forest and the rest, and then they beat him a bit. Next season, I don't think it will repeat itself because he'll be able to come out with a plan and say, this is what I have in store. But I know Chelsea fans, they're still thinking of Abramovich, but they don't want to come to terms that Abramovich Chelsea is different from Todd Bowley's Chelsea. They don't want to come with terms with that, but that's their own problem. But I just think that Pochettino needs time, and I think Jackson has been horrible in front of the goal, but he does everything well. Just the fact that he misses those chances means that he knows the runs, he knows how to. His appeal the ball is good. He knows how to
He
create
just needs to
those things. Once
fix
he
up.
perfects those things, which might take a little time than we normally see, he might be good. Drogba came to Chelsea as the best French league player. He had a horrible first season. He wanted to leave. Mourinho told him to stay, and the rest was history, right? So I know it's not
Right.
the same players he has around him, but Jackson eventually, to me, will be way
But
better
uh,
than
with
he is right
with
now.
the stories of next year, Victor Osimhen joining Chelsea, are you thinking that Nicolas Jackson will get a lot more chances now? Because
If you watch the way Pochettino is using Jackson, sometimes he plays him even on the wing.
on the
Sometimes
wing,
that's a good thing. Jackson is someone who is not, he's multi-dimensional, so he might have chances, and we don't know as if Osimhen is going to come. Osimhen, no, we know he's all after. We know we are all after money, but he might, if there's another team that has a good project and that one that he knows is going to be playing Champions League, and that's going to offer him similar or more or the same money Chelsea is offering, I think he's going to go. Even though you have
but
the likes
I don't think any
of
Premier League team will
of
be willing to pay that
Mikel
kind of
Obi and
money.
all that, telling him,
No,
saying that he's going to go for Chelsea, but I
one
don't know
thing
if
is that
that's going to happen.
I don't think Osimhen or Chelsea will be bold enough to break the bank for
They
a
will.
person like
They're
Osimhen.
crazy
No,
enough.
but
Their owner is
Chelsea,
crazy enough. Chelsea is the only team now that can pay that kind of money for a
no,
player.
they have
No,
problems now because they
Owner
listen,
just
is
did
crazy enough.
let me finish. Let
Okay,
me
go ahead.
finish. They
Go
will
ahead.
not be able to break the bank because of their spending, as you talk,
FFP cap.
as you're just trying to say, because of
Mhm,
their spending, and now they have limitations. They will need to sell a lot
Yeah.
of players in order to spend that type of money for
mhm.
Osimhen. That's the reality. That some
Yes.
people don't
Mhm.
see. That's the reality. And again, will Pochettino attest to that? Because Pochettino will not want that type of a pressure anymore. Since Chelsea has spent that much amount of money. But however, there are some players in their midfield like Gallagher. For me, those players are just Gallagher is not a Chelsea type of player. He's inconsistent. He's inconsistent. Maybe coming from the bench, and at this time of his career, I don't think it will be good for a player like Gallagher to be coming out of the bench
No,
because
Gallagher has been a starter for Chelsea all through. He's Chelsea's most
He's been
consistent
really
player.
good for
yeah,
Chelsea. I think
bro.
that's the only
But
line where
the way I look at Gallagher, right? Gallagher, when he has good games, is games where he goes in box to box and score goals. But
No, even
Gallagher for
without
me,
scoring, Tru3lion, that guy has been the most consistent player for
he's
Chelsea
been
this
quite
season.
yeah,
He
consistent
only
for
started.
what
He only
Chelsea?
started.
What
He
Chelsea
only
team?
started scoring lately. He only started scoring
No, he's
lately.
been playing. He's been playing
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah,
He's been playing really
what
well
Chelsea
lately.
team? Do you want to be the Chelsea team that is number 10 in the league, or do you want to be a
No, no,
Chelsea
that's
team?
not what I'm talking about. That's not what we're talking about right now. I'm talking about the performance right now for Chelsea. If you're looking at
No,
who
but
is
I'm
being the,
talking about next year, where Chelsea wants to be.
yes,
Oh,
If Chelsea wants to be like contender,
okay.
Gallagher is not the type of player who makes you contender.
Why? Why?
Be- because of his limitation, because he's inconsistent. I have
He's not
seen
inconsistent. He's the most
no,
consistent player. How is he
he's the
he's the
most
inconsistent?
most
consistent
consistent
player
player
in
for
This
a bad
season,
for a poor
for
Chelsea.
Chelsea right
this
now.
so who is going to be more consistent than him? Enzo or
No,
Casillas? We don't know.
what I'm saying is that if he has value, you sell him and bring a better player.
They're
That's what
going
I'm
to sell
saying.
him for. That's what the
Yeah.
Chelsea is
And
trying
that's
to
what
do.
I'm saying. Then why are you
No, but
arguing?
that Chelsea is trying to sell him not to bring a better player because they want to balance their books, not because they want to bring a better player. And Gallagher is an attacking midfielder. If you're not bringing Osimhen to replace Gallagher, you understand what I
No,
mean?
but that's what. No, you're not getting what I'm saying. I said maybe what I'm saying is that there are players in that team like Gallagher that will need to be
Move
moved
on.
in
Yeah.
order to bring in better players that will take the team from here to. For me, Gallagher has shown me his limits. Gallagher cannot compete with guys like Odegaard. Gallagher cannot
Well, yeah,
compete
of
with guys like
course,
De Bruyne. Gallagher,
of
but
course.
when you talk about Chelsea and you talk about that legendary midfield, it's not Gallagher, Lampard, Gallagher. Is that
No,
what
but
you want to say?
That's
we
where
saw,
and that's
yeah,
where
we
Chelsea
saw,
has a problem because you want to
yes.
compare Chelsea now with the Chelsea of Lampard.
No,
Just go
you're
two,
building. You're
just go
building a
two,
young
three,
team, right?
just go to 2, 3 seasons ago. Chelsea's best player was Mason Mount. Chelsea won the
Yeah.
Champions League with Mason Mount and all that. How good was Mason Mount?
Mason Mount is a good player.
No, how good was he? If you want
I
to
mean,
look at Chelsea
no,
level,
no. I'm
how
looking
good
at the
was Mason
team.
Mount?
I'm looking at the
Yeah, the
team.
team. How good was he? Chelsea won the Champions League with the Mason Mount, played about 4 or 5 different finals under Tuchel when Mason Mount was like one of the main midfielders. And Mason Mount, how good was he? Mason Mount was just another good player. It
No, but
depends
better
on the
than
system.
Gallagher. Better than Gallagher.
Guys,
Is not that bad. It's not that bad
guys.
the way he won.
I think we round up the conversation because we're kind of losing the script there. But I think this is a conversation we can have extensively for sure. Again, we have to remember some of these choices are subjective as much as we can allow them to be, and sometimes we just have to disagree, to agree to disagree, because the Conor Gallagher that I saw at Crystal Palace is not the Conor Gallagher I see at Chelsea. Because at Crystal Palace, he fit in a system that was allowing him to do work and produce. At Chelsea, recently, he's starting to do that, but I don't know how Chelsea will leverage that or what they want to do. If Chelsea could sell Kai Havertz for 65 million pounds when he didn't have a good season, I can only imagine how much Conor Gallagher will go for. But let's it's a wait and see
But
game,
it will be
guys. It's
good.
a wait
It
and
will
see
be
game.
good for
No.
them. It will be good
Yeah.
for Chelsea because it costs them nothing. You understand?
Yes,
It's a player
exactly.
from
Because
the
he's an
academy.
academy, he's
So
a
even if they sell
homegrown
him
kid.
for 50, 45 or 50 million, they've made
It's
an
money for them.
enormous
Yeah, because
sum
he's
of
but,
money.
homegrown.
but,
Yeah.
but we,
Exactly.
yeah, but we ain't gonna compare Gallagher to
Kai
Havertz, are
Havertz.
we?
Yeah. Agreed. Okay,
Okay.
so True Lion, we're done with the comments. I'm looking at Facebook here. I don't see anything else.
Okay.
Um, so over to you.
Yes, so I think it was actually a good session where we talked EPL in depth. We talked about various teams. I know next weekend is FA Cup, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so next weekend is FA Cup. But Arsenal finishes week number 28 on top of the table. That's the best position. The result today, City draw with Manchester, drew with Liverpool 1-1. That was the best result an Arsenal fan was looking at. So Arsenal on goal differential because they've been scoring a lot of goals on top of the table. Is that 54 points? If I'm right,
64.
64 points.
64
64
64.
points.
points with the
We're
goal
Liverpool
level
are
difference.
on
good.
points with Liverpool.
Goal difference. Yeah.
But we have just goal difference ahead of Liverpool.
Mhm.
Then Manchester City is 63. So
Yeah.
that game, I know Arsenal was supposed to play Chelsea this weekend, but
Yeah,
that
but
game has
we're
been postponed.
Mhm.
postponed, and
Yeah,
that's a big fear for me, because whenever Arsenal has postponed games, whenever the day that game gets scheduled, that's going to be a headache,
man,
because it will have to be played midweek.
we are not listening to Arsenal fans today. You're just scared. I don't know. You're just scared. So, but that game, Arsenal Manchester City, that's gonna be another big
That's
game.
the decider. Yeah.
Although I had Manchester City as favorite, for me, Manchester City is not playing convincing football. Yes, today they had a point. That point is as if they won 3 points because Liverpool played some good football. They created good opportunities, but they could not capitalize on all 3 points. Thanks for watching, guys. Please share. Keep going on we on YouTube. We on Facebook. Do we have an Instagram account yet? We have
No,
we have we have, we have X. Oh yeah,
we
we
have
have X.
X. We
Yeah,
have X. Yeah,
I think I think I should we should be
we should
tweeting
create
tweeting.
an Instagram.
Yeah, we should be putting out more tweets on X and
Yeah.
in our involvement. And thank you, Ajab. I know I've been seeing or is that Nico? I'm not sure who has been putting
Nico,
comments.
Nico, Nico, Nico.
Oh, that's Nico. That's Nico. No doubt
Yeah.
he's putting everything we see on those on that website or on our page. It's just Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. He's putting Arsenal. I don't, I don't know. We should take control on that page before someone thinks it's an Arsenal page. So, guys, thanks
Guys,
very much. It was a
before
good
we go
weekend.
though, I'm
Yeah,
looking
go
at
on.
the fixture list and I'm like, Liverpool plays 1, 2, 3, 4 games before they, well, 3 games before they play Brighton, and Arsenal all this while would just be resting. That's a lot of games.
Well, but you never know. The rest could be good or the rest could be bad. So
Yeah,
you never know. Football is, I mean, there are so many unknowns that affect the way
exactly.
people play. But as I said, and I'll continue saying that, my number one to win the league is Manchester City, then
Yeah.
Arsenal, then Liverpool. I don't really, although Liverpool has proven to me that they can play today, that
Mhm.
game, any fan, if you're watching and if you thought Manchester City was like favorite to win the EPL title, man, you
I
should
think it's
also
out of
think.
the question. I don't think City has the bandwidth to do it again. I
Yeah,
don't. I really don't. I
but
didn't see that today. City
yeah,
City went
but
down the goal and they tried to rough it up, but it didn't work. So
City can just clean out things like this. It could be like
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
exactly.
today they really missed a guy like I could not see
Jack
myself ever
Grealish.
saying this, Jack Grealish,
Yeah,
because
they
he's a guy
missed Jack Grealish.
who could have held the ball, held the tempo. And I think starting Alves came in from the bench last game and played well, but I don't think that was a good choice. Maybe Doku could have started, then Alves comes
Yeah,
out
because
to
he's
bench
Started.
Alves.
Doku is starting to look like Modric of Chelsea, man. He's just so
Yeah, but
one-dimensional. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you say something that I've heard from a Manchester City's fan, but they are just too harsh on Doku because even if you when you watch the game where Manchester City came from behind to beat Manu, Doku had some good balls in the box.
Even today,
Even
he
today,
towards
No,
the end he hit
he hit the yeah, he hit the
the
goalpost.
bar, and
yeah,
then it came out. If he
Yeah,
had scored
guys,
that, Man City would
what do
win.
you sorry, what do
You
you
know.
guys think about the foul on McAllister by Doku in
no,
the
that was
last
not the
minute of the
foul.
game?
That was not the
Yeah,
foul.
that was it. If a
That was
ref
not the
calls
foul.
it, you take it. A ref doesn't call
No,
it, you
because Doku touched the ball and McAllister ran into the ball with his
start
chest.
scattered. Yeah,
If it was a head ball, then you could have said dangerous play, but that was not a foul for me.
yeah.
But anyway, we've come to the end of this session. Football Trio. Please like, share, comment. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, and we are on X. I'm wishing you guys a wonderful end of the day. The weekend is almost over, and Monday is tomorrow. Thanks for spending your time with us. Thank you, Ajab. Thank you, Nico. It's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure.